Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. Reps to debate motion seeking medical intervention for Nnamdi Kanu. Ex-Minister Nnaji says his resignation not admission of guilt. Plus, Ecuador arrests 5 for alleged presidential assassination attempt. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has accepted the exit of Professor Mahmood Yakubu as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) following the completion of his second term in office. Yakubu, who was first appointed in November 2015 as the 14th chairman of the commission, served 2 5-year terms with his reappointment in 2020. His tenure has now officially ended. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu commended Professor Yakubu for his service and commitment to strengthening Nigeria's democracy, particularly through the organization of free and fair elections. Throughout his 2-term tenure, as a mark of appreciation, President Tinubu has conferred on Professor Yakubu the national honor of Commander of the Niger, CON. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has withheld his assent to 2 bills recently passed by the National Assembly, citing major concerns over fiscal implications, legal inconsistencies and potential conflicts with federal policies. The development was announced during plenary when the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, read separate correspondences from the President explaining his decision to reject the proposed laws. The first is the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, NIT, and its repeal and reenactment bill, seeking to restructure the operations and funding mechanisms of the institute. While commending the intent behind the legislation, President Tinubu said several provisions were flawed and posed risk to financial discipline and good governance. Away from that, the federal government plans to refinance Nigeria's expensive debt portfolio. This is part of ongoing efforts to reduce the nation's debt service cost and overall cost of borrowing. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, made this known at the 55th Annual Conference of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, in Abuja. Edun explained that the decision to refinance the country's high-cost debt was driven by a sharp rise in debt service obligations in recent years. According to him, debt service costs have surged. Treasury bill rates rose from 8% in 2023 to nearly 24%, and external debt service almost tripled from budgeted 2.7 trillion naira to 6.7 trillion naira in 2024. He added that Tinubu's administration is determined to transition the Nigerian economy driven by competition and innovation, with the government acting as a solicitor rather than a dominant player. And to the Green Chambers, where the House of Representatives will this week debate a motion seeking urgent medical intervention for the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. This is contained in a statement signed by the Special Assistant to the Deputy Speaker on Press Affairs, Udora Orizu, made available to newsmen in Abuja. The decision, according to Orizu, followed an intervention during Tuesday's plenary by the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu. Kalu re-elected a point of order raised on subject matter by members representing Ikwanu and Umuahia North and Federal Constituency Obi Agwocha. In a separate development, former Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Nnaji, has said that his resignation from the office was not an admission of guilt. Recall that Nnaji resigned yesterday following the controversy surrounding his certificate, said to have been obtained from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, Enugu State, as well as his National Youth Service Corps discharge certificate, while he maintains that he graduated from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1975. A report indicates that the institution could not verify his academic records. The former minister also claimed that the certificate scandal was politically motivated by his opponents. He thanked President Bola Tinubu for the opportunity to serve in his cabinet and assured the president of his continued loyalty. In another development, the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, have announced a one-day protest scheduled for Thursday, citing the federal government's continued failure to address the long-standing demands. Operating under the Joint Action Committee, JAC, both unions have instructed their branches to hold emergency meetings today to prepare and mobilize members for the protest. The planned activities include campus marches, placard demonstrations and press briefings. The union said the decision comes after a thorough assessment of the government's inaction during a JAC meeting held on October 6th, following the expiration of several ultimatums previously issued. Key points of contention include the alleged unfair allocation of 50 billion naira in earned allowances, delays in renegotiating the 2009 federal government NASU-SANU agreements, and the non-payment of 2 months' outstanding salaries. The unions also cited unpaid arrears from the 25% and 35% salary increment, as well as the government's failure to remit third-party deductions for May and June 2022. In Africa, Cameroon's 92-year-old president, Paul Biya, has appeared at his first campaign rally for the upcoming elections, which the world's oldest head of state is seeking his 8th term. Addressing a crowd of supporters at a stadium in the far north town of Marwa, Biya promised to step up security in the region plagued by extremist attacks, curb youth unemployment and improve road infrastructure and social amenities if he is re-elected in Sunday's vote. Reports say the far north region accounts for nearly 20% of the country's 8.2 million eligible voters. On the foreign scene, Ecuador's authority says 5 people have been detained after an alleged attempted assassination of President Daniel Noboa. According to the country's Energy and Environment Minister, about 500 people threw rocks at the car of President Noboa, and their signs of bullet damage were seen on his vehicle. Noboa's office said those arrested will be charged with offenses of terrorism and attempted assassination. The country has been rocked with violent clashes and protests for diesel subsidies removal by the government for more than 2 weeks now. And still on the foreign scene, the Nobel Prize for Chemistry has been awarded to Susumu Kitagawa, Richard Robson and Omar Yagi for their work on metal organic frameworks. The announcement was made by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences at a news conference in Stockholm, Sweden. The 3 winners will share prize money of 11 million Swedish kronor, which is £872,000. And still to come in the news. The Tigers to face Germany, France and others at the 2026 Basketball World Cup qualifiers. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Risk on your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further inquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Get ready for the exciting.
Many thanks for staying tuned, and welcome back to Spectrum News at 12. On our business news, the World Bank has said that the federal government's ambition to achieve single-digit inflation in the short term is unrealistic, warning that Nigeria remains among a handful. In 2026, Nigeria remains an outlier due to persistent structural challenges, including currency depreciation, high food and energy prices, and supply bottlenecks that continue to fuel price instability. And still in business, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has said that Nigeria's non-interest capital market has grown to over 1.6 trillion naira, reflecting investors' confidence and participation in finance. The Director General of the SEC, Emomotimi Agama, disclosed this at a joint press briefing in Abuja ahead of the 7th African International Conference on Islamic Finance scheduled to be held in Lagos. Agama said the non-interest capital market had recorded remarkable momentum, with Sukuk dominating the sector, noting that the most recent Sukuk issuance was oversubscribed by over 700%, demonstrating strong investor appetite for non-interest products and confidence in the regulatory environment. He added that the enactment of the Investments and Securities Act 2025 had strengthened the legal foundation for non-interest financial products, empowering the sector to register non-interest collective investment schemes and broaden investment options for Nigerians. In health, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) has urged state governments across the country to strengthen sub-national emergency preparedness and response in order to boost health security reforms under the Nigerian Health Security Reform Implementation Initiative. The NCDC gave the charge in Abuja at the unveiling of the NISRI State Emergency Preparedness and Response Action Plan for states. Speaking during the meeting, the Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Jide Idris, emphasized that public health emergencies such as COVID-19, Ebola, and other emerging infectious diseases often begin at the community level, where response mechanisms are weakest. He noted that while NCDC provides national coordination, responses should ideally start at the state and local government levels, adding that many states still face gaps in infrastructure, financing, and implementation. And now to sportswear. African champions Nigeria's D Tigers will face Colombia, Philippines, Germany, Korea, France in the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament. This was confirmed after the qualifying tournament's draw was held yesterday at the Patrick Borman House of Basketball in Mainz, Switzerland. Taking place between March 11 to 17th, the qualifying tournaments will be held in 4 host cities, namely Wuhan, China, Lyon, Velbune, France, San Juan, Puerto Rico and Istanbul, Turkey. The Tigers will be hoping to make a third appearance at the Women's Basketball World Cup after featuring at the 2006 group stage and 2018 quarterfinals editions. And still in sports, former Super Eagles captain John Mikel has insisted that the team can still earn a berth at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Super Eagles currently occupy third position in Group C with 11 points from 8 games. Eric Shell's side are poised to take on Crocodiles of Lesotho and Squirrels of Benin Republic in their last 2 games in the qualifying series. There will be guests of Lesotho at the new Peter Mokaba Stadium, Polokwane, on Friday. The Super Eagles will round off their qualifying campaign with a home fixture against Benin Republic next week, Tuesday. Mikel said the players must take responsibility and fight for the nation. On our entertainment news, American rapper Kiari Cephas, popularly known as Offset, has addressed the long-standing rumors suggesting he had an affair with a fellow rapper, Saweetie. In a podcast interview, Offset described the allegations as completely false and unnecessary. The former Migos member also opened up on his split from Grammy-winning rapper Cardi B, admitting that his own mistakes led to the collapse of their marriage. Despite their separation, the rapper expressed deep respect for Cardi B, referring to her as bro, and clarified that their divorce has not yet been finalized. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.